Really appreciate all of your work, Amy and Nikki. And thank you all so much for being here. It's such an honor to be back here at Nerd Night. I was actually at a Nerd Night years ago, more than 15 years ago, back when it was at the North Door. I don't know if anybody used to go to there. Yes, we got a couple of diehards, so it's wonderful to be back. My presentation is called Music for a Better World. I feel really lucky to have been able to witness miracles happening in the world with music. I was just talking to a guest here tonight about the mystery of music and how it has helped him in his life, and that's something that I've experienced as well, and I've seen so many times. I've had the great kind of privilege in the last 30 years of building programs in music here in Austin and all around the world. And watching those programs meet people where they are and do what music can do has been a source of great inspiration for me. And so what I wanted to talk to you all about tonight are just some observations in 30 years of doing this, of watching teams build things, watching music make its impact, how I think it works. Both in terms of music itself, the impact, and also kind of how I think one of the secrets are for actually creating thoughtful programming that can help more music to do what it does in the world. I've seen so many relationships develop over time. Just 2 nights from now, our organization, which is called Austin Classical Guitar here in Austin, is going to have a 25th anniversary celebration of our community orchestras. We have 6 community orchestras. We actually have people playing in the orchestra on Saturday night that were in the ensemble in 1999 when it started. So I invite you to just think about that for a moment and think about what the space was that was created 25 years ago and what that might mean for an individual who has spent 25 years making music with other people. Just this past Monday, I said goodbye to somebody. His name's Edward. Edward came to us 15 years ago when he moved here from Oregon, and he was very public with his story about struggling with depressive disorder following his service in the Army in Vietnam. And he was having trouble getting out of his house and meeting other people and being social. And being able to do music with somebody was a way that he was able to overcome that. He became a treasured member of our community for 15 years. And literally just 4 days ago, I said goodbye to him because he's moving back to Oregon at this point. Just this morning, I got a phone call from a lady named Sandra, and she informed me that her dear husband, Jim, who was 97, just passed away last week. And in his obituary in the paper this Sunday, Austin Classical Guitar is going to be the place that they invite his friends and family members to donate to in lieu of flowers. And these are just moments to sort of sit and meditate and think about, well, what's going on there? What is the connection that causes somebody to feel the significance of those kinds of relationships? So I'm going to talk about where music goes and how it can go places that words cannot. I'll talk about kind of how it works when it gets there, at least in terms of my observations, the impact that I think it makes, and then a little bit about how we can do it. So I don't know why I went with bears for this presentation, but you're getting teddy bears for this. So music goes places words cannot. I think a lot of us perhaps maybe know this intuitively. It's also a cliche. I'm sure many of you have heard something like this said, or maybe you know this in your hearts. In 2014, we were involved pretty deeply in the juvenile justice population doing music programs. And we were in dialogue with the folks up at Carnegie Hall who had been building a program in the community that they wanted to talk about. And they wanted to talk to us about our work in juvenile justice because they were very interested in service in that arena as well. And so they had just made a program called the Lullaby Project. The Lullaby Project was created in response to caseworkers who were working in a shelter for young moms who were experiencing homelessness. And this particular population, many of whom were survivors of domestic violence and certainly experiencing poverty, were dealing with a range of problems, that challenges, I should say, including social and emotional challenges, isolation and anxiety. And so while the shelters had access to plenty of medical acute care, plenty of psychotherapy and group therapy for the girls and young women that were in the facilities, they really had trouble cracking the sort of the social anxiety and isolation element, and that was causing serious problems, both in terms of mood and psychological issues, and also birth outcomes for babies. So Carnegie Hall came up with a brilliant idea, which was to pair each resident with a teaching artist, and the teaching artist would spend time with them to write a lullaby for their babies. Or just write a song that they wanted to express about their lives and their experience. And so they asked us if we would like to begin doing a lullaby project here in Boston. So we started doing that in 2014. We actually have just passed 100 songs that we've written with individuals ever since. And we write in a lot of different arenas. But this is one of those interesting things where the product is actually the process. There are beautiful songs that result from this work, but actually it's the time spent together where music is working in a really mysterious way. Because while someone may not want to open up on a personal level about what's going on in their lives, when music is introduced, when creativity becomes the sandbox, all of a sudden we have found in the last 11 years of doing this work that folks open up in incredible ways and really develop meaningful things. So what I'd like to play for you now is a song that came out of this particular program. So this was written by a resident at a facility here in town called Red Oak Hope. Red Oak Hope serves women and girls who are survivors of trafficking and sexual exploitation. And so in this case, it's not always the case, but in this particular case, we'll actually hear the person that wrote the song actually sing the song as well. We'll just listen to the first half.
This is the I Am Strong, right?
Yep.
All right.
People told me I couldn't make it. People told me I didn't have a chance. There was a time where I felt like giving up. I know I have God on my side. I stand tall, I am strong. You can tell me that I can't, that will only make me what I do. Told myself I can do it.
Thank you so much, Amy. So another moment to meditate for just a moment and think about that individual and think about the song, of course, the message, which is so powerful, and the role that music plays in this sort of in an environment like this. There's so much going on in that story, and I believe that that's a wonderful example of music going to a place that words cannot. How it works. So my belief here is that actually music creates a container for us. It's a time-based experience that unfolds as we listen to it, and it unfolds over time. So if that's people playing music together in a community orchestra for 25 years, that's a long time. Or if it's just us listening to I Am Strong together in a moment, where all of us together in this room have a shared experience over time. It creates a kind of a container for us. And so as we built many education programs near and far, I feel like what really has been functioning is that container which opens up an opportunity for togetherness in a significant way. Togetherness in a significant way. I actually think it's not enough for us to just teach people to play the guitar. The guitar is just the organizing principle. It's the reason we come together. The beauty, the music itself, becomes that container, and within it, we have other operants. And those operants are things like belonging and kindness. I think of it sort of like an atom, where the nucleus is music. It's the thing we can kind of see and detect. And then all around it in an invisible and magical way is this electron. And that electron is the human spirit. And by having an opportunity to experience that together, we can make change over time. In 2010, we had an opportunity to begin working at Gardner Betts here in downtown Austin, which is the juvenile detention center for Travis County. And we had heard from a social worker that they thought the work that we were doing in schools would be very useful for kids in that particular population. And so we've had 15 incredible years of a very rare opportunity, thousands of hours now. We got to build the state of Texas's first and only performing arts course for incarcerated youth. So we see kids 5 hours a week now in 5 facilities across Texas. It's a really rare thing to imagine. But once again, what's happening in those spaces is that the music has become a container for relationships to build. So what we'll hear next, and hopefully my video will work, is a very tail end of a performance by, shouldn't look like that I don't think, but we'll see. Let's see what happens if I click it again. Ooh, this is promising. Nope.
All right.
So let's go to Amy again for the, should start with S-A-L.
There we go.
So we're just hearing the very tail end of a young man's performance. He's been studying guitar for 3 months. He's performing here in our theater. And he is part of a program that is a secure facility for kids that are also dealing with drug and alcohol abuse issues. And, we lost our video.
Beautiful. All right. Well, did y'all enjoy that?
We may just have to listen.
Did you enjoy that? All right. Well, you've done such an awesome job. Just this past, 3 months that we worked together. Everything I've asked you to do, make sure that you're on it. Like I mentioned before, you have taken it upon yourself to make sure that whoever comes in that's new, you catch up.
This is our teacher.
They're always
talking
involved
to the
and not
student.
made to feel like they're not a part of the team, or like I call it, a part of the band. So I guess my only question to you is, what has your experience, in your own words, been being a part of this group?
It's amazing. There's so many words to describe it. I can't find any right now. But it truly changed my life. Like, it does a lot for me. It helps me, like, it gives me peace. It gives me happiness. I love this art of playing guitar. It's just beautiful. And I'm really thankful for you. I'm grateful to have you as my teacher. You've done a lot for me. And no matter how many times I thank you, it's never going to be as much as I mean it. I appreciate this.
So, sorry for the rough ride there with that experience, but hopefully you caught most of it. And what he says at the end is really profound, I think. He says, no matter how many times I say it, it's never going to be as much as I mean it. And he's thanking his instructor for his presence. The instructor is our director of juvenile justice services, Hector. And Hector, even in his intro, was talking about how this young man has welcomed people into the program, has helped them feel like they're part of the team or part of the band, as he likes to say it. And so there we get the whole picture of the nucleus and the electron. We've got the student talking about how he loves the guitar. He loves the expression, what it does for him. It brings him peace. And then he goes on to talk about the social element, how important it is, his relationship with his instructor. And those two things are absolutely inextricable in my observation of this for 30 years. Those two things have to be there if we're going to make social change with music and capture the true superpower that it possesses. Oops, we're further along than we need to be. There we go. Okay, so the third topic is what happens then? You know, we're in a container. What's the impact that actually occurs then? And I like to think of this in terms of possibility, creating a new narrative, opening up the potential for something that wasn't there before. But I'd like to caution y'all, because what most people want to hear me talk about when I'm talking about impact, especially if I'm raising money, is they want measurable outcomes. They want me to demonstrate how kids that are in music are going to do better on their STAR testing. They want a measurement of their graduation rates or recidivism or something along those lines. And the honest truth and the irony of it is that I have all of that data. I can actually show it and it's quite compelling. But none of it is actually what matters. None of it's what we actually are doing. We are making change in a completely different space. And if we don't understand what that is, then we can't do it on purpose. We can't do it really, really well. We get distracted by the data that we're encouraged to measure. So I think it's really important to be thinking about this bear that's sitting at this desk dreaming about graduation day or scoring a goal or doing a performance, and what can happen in the narrative change for an individual when they find a place to belong, when they create beauty habitually by themselves or with others, and when they accomplish things that they haven't been able to accomplish before. So let's try to cue up our next video. Sorry, Amy, got your mid-iced tea there. This is the TSBVI one. So we had the wonderful chance in 2010 to start working with Texas School for the Blind and Visually Impaired. And we've been there ever since. We ended up actually creating a large-scale Braille-based learning system that's now used all over the world. Here we go. So let's listen to what the kids have to say.
And practice every day. It makes me step it up and my confidence gets better and better. There are these composers that can play guitar really, really fast and they can do multiple things at once. And I want to be able to do that.
When I play the guitar, it feels like I'm speaking without using my voice. I think music describes things better than regular words. I just think of it as like a second language. If I faltered on, talking to someone, I can just use music.
I didn't even know guitar was a thing until I started playing it. And I thought, wow, if I couldn't play the guitar, I don't know where I'd be right now. When I finally learned it, I felt so amazed and I felt like a professional.
I didn't even know I could play any instrument until I started playing the guitar. It makes me feel like I'm part of something bigger.
Another moment to just kind of breathe and listen to what we've just heard and process the significance of the words. In those particular quotes, we're hearing about possibility, the opportunity to do something that one didn't know that they could do. And that's happening for us as we learn new things, frequently in large ways and small ways. I can't tell you how many times I've heard versions of these kinds of statements from the thousands of students that we've had an opportunity to work with. So again, just underlining that I think it's in that, that's not what we want. I don't know what's happening. Sorry, Annie.
Hello, Mr. Matt and the
that's the
friends
next
from
video.
Austin Classical Guitar. We send greetings and love from Emisada Organization, Kampala. My name is Otieno Simon Fita, and I'm part of the music teachers at Emisada Organization.
Yay.
So much excitement. So much excitement.
Thanks, Amy. We're ready for the next one now. No, I'm just saying we are going to be. Okay, So, all right, my last little tidbit to share tonight is some observations about how I think we can go about making programs like this happen in a thoughtful way. A couple of years ago, I wrote, is this the last slide? Can you advance to that slide? I see it there. It's not happening. It's the one on the right there.
Okay. Let's see what happens.
Yay!
Yay.
So a couple of years ago, I wrote a book called Form and Essence. And from the talk so far, you can probably gather that form and essence refers to things that you can see and things that you cannot see. It's really a book about the power and vital importance of invisible and hard-to-measure things in a world that's obsessed with data and demonstration and delineation and definition. And so if you think about everything that we've seen so far, and we think about music and what it does, which is, of course, not visible, hopefully it kind of makes sense as maybe a terminology or a couple of lenses through which we might be able to look at how we can imagine building a new social program, for example. It's very easy to imagine that you're going to create a program and create a plan around that program. Say you want to teach guitar, okay? Well, we get a bunch of guitar together. Maybe we get some resources together, like instruments or music. And then we're going to source the talent. We need some teachers, so we're going to see teachers, and maybe build some partnerships with some schools, or Texas School for the Blind and Visually Impaired. And then we need an organization to build all around that, and that's going to be what we do. And so we focus on those deliverable outcomes, and we focus on maybe teaching kids to play guitar at a certain level, so that we can even measure how well they're doing. So I put this in a yin and yang because it's not that one thing is better than the other. It's just that I believe that many of us spend about 90% or more of our time thinking about only this side. We have a really hard time, especially in business, talking seriously about what's happening on the other side. But the thing is that the motivation for a young person to pick up a guitar and play has only a little bit to do with the guitar itself. And it has a huge amount to do with what's happening socially, what's happening with their relationship with the teacher. If it's the music itself, it's often related to the culture that it's connected to, or an experience that they had, or an experience that they want to recreate. These are all things that live inside of us as meta-characteristics in essence. If we want to build resources, any seasoned fundraiser will tell you that it really relates to trust and developing relationships and over time, building alignment, things of that nature. Talk about talent, but we can also talk about what's the culture of that talent. I'll say something nasty in that I know many fabulous musicians that are not good teachers. It's not about the talent. Being a guitar player is not the prerequisite for making change in the world with music, with young people, especially vulnerable populations. You have to have much, much, much more going on in your awareness. And that's all in the territory of essence. Because we're pushing things in that arena. That's where our yardstick has to be. So you can go on with any number of lenses, but in this case, I'm just kind of looking at program management. So second to last slide here is just a look at some of the programs we've had an opportunity to build over the years. You can see we've just had an incredible chance to work all around the United States, which is really one of our great joys. Work with a lot of different populations, and then do a little bit of work internationally as well. So now, and we get to play our last and final video, which is the one that we just heard a little tiny piece of from Uganda. And I just got a new update from them and this past week, and so I wanted to share it with you. And it's a thank you, and then we'll get to hear just a couple of the kids playing. So we've been building this program for the last 2 years. It's in an orphanage system in Uganda. They are amazing, doing incredible work, and so we'll get to hear just a little bit of a message from them, and then a tiny bit of music, and then we'll have questions.
Hello, Mr. Matt and the friends from Austin Classical Guitar. We send greetings and love from Emisada Organization, Kampala. My name is Simon Peter, and I'm part of the music teachers at Emisada Organization. and I'm also teaching guitar at the organization. We want to really thank you so much for the love and the support you've given to us as MSAD organization. You know, giving us the guitars, the lovely guitars, giving us the footsteps, giving us the music stands, you know. And we are really so much privileged, you know, and so blessed, you know, to have all these things, you know, with us, you know. Not only that, but also you're giving us online lessons, which have really been so much important to us as the teachers, but not only to us the teachers, but to also, you know, the communities, you know, where we've gone and we've tried, you know, to spread, you know, the music and the guitar lessons, you know. We've realized, you know, that students out there, they are really appreciated and they are really so much in love with the curriculum from the Austin classical guitar. You know, they find it really easy, you know, for them to learn guitar. They find it really so much interesting, you know, for them to learn guitar. And therefore, not only learning, but we've also realized, you know, that really the music has really put change, you know, into the communities where we went, you know, to teach music. We found out, you know, that there were a lot of people, you know, inspired, a lot of children, you know, inspired, you know, to really learn the instrument, you know, and also do music.
Okay, and that is my presentation for you all. Thank you so much. And just a quick recap, and I'd love any questions that you might have. Really, I think the main message that I'm sharing is that things that are invisible and hard to measure, that live in our souls, live in our spirits, live in our emotions, our mental health, our spirit, these are things that really make a big difference. And when we're talking about trying to make change, I think for a lot of individuals, as organizations and as social servants, I think it's really important for us to tune our intentions into spaces that we often are untrained in thinking about, and certainly not inclined to think about in any kind of a business arena. So hopefully that makes sense and is interesting to y'all. And yeah, welcome any questions.
All right, big round of applause for our speakers first of all. I am going to start out with a question from my counterpart, who was the another speaker at the Nerd Night that you spoke at. What was it? Nerd 35?
That's actually what I was going to say. I checked the archives. March 2012 was your first talk, and it was also my first talk.
Oh, what fun, Mickey. Wow. Well, that's great. It's good to see you again. We have more in common.
Yep.
Love it. All right. So, what's the question? It's still a good way to start things off, I think. But now, we're looking for questions. Do y'all have any? I know I have one.
Okay, bring it on.
So we saw footage of people, or heard in some cases, people singing songs. Some of them seem like maybe they were original compositions, and others of them were songs that are kind of part of the songbook, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are there any particular songs from, I guess, the Great American Songbook or the Great Ugandan Songbook or whatever that are kind of gateway pieces that you use to get people excited about learning classical guitar?
Oh, yeah. Well, I would say most of that is actually original material. That when we get people excited about learning the instrument, it's just about kind of creating pathways that can make beautiful things pretty quickly. And so we've done things like utilize, say, a James Bond-esque kind of a theme that's kind of compelling, and it's got an interesting rhythm to it. People can do it quickly with a special arrangement, and we call it spy tune. So you can make sort of a spy tune thing that references kind of culturally something that a lot of people will recognize, but it's not actually the song. We had a lot of fun in this room actually in 2017 when Coco came out. we devised a plan to teach 40 kids how to play guitar in 20 minutes right before watching the movie. and so we had 40 guitars in here, and the kids would come in through that door. It was terrifying. And then we had a backing band. But basically, we just retuned the bass strings on the guitar so that all they had to do was play the open strings in order, and then be playing the bass line from one of the songs from the movie. And so you can get creative and do things like that with music all the time to create that entry point. We do a lot of co-creation with kids. So at different times they'll tell us what songs they love, and we'll do something. I'll never forget a beautiful moment from the Williamson County Juvenile Services Center up there when a kid really wanted to play John Legend's "All of Me." It was like his favorite song, and so he worked really, really hard. It's not an easy song to play. And he learned to play the entire thing. And then we paired him with a local singer who sang it over his track. But of course, because he's incarcerated, they couldn't ever do it together. So he had to make a perfect recording in one take in the facility. It was all during COVID. And then we video magicked it together with her and delivered it back to him. And so it's amazing how motivation kind of plays a factor, especially when somebody really wants to do something. And then we can try to play to that. In Uganda, I've been working primarily on that particular project, and so we've been working a lot. You actually saw that with the Adungu there at the beginning of the first video clip with the little kids, but that's a Ugandan harp. So they've been doing things with like Adungu music combined with guitar. We just kind of make arrangements that put it all together.
Marvelous. All right. Any questions from the crowd? Over here, table 11. What's up?
So this isn't really about making music, it's about creating joy. So what's on the radar? Are there other populations that your group is going to try to serve, or are you just going to try to expand the areas you have now?
Great question. And great comment, too. I mean, I think that joy is a really powerful word. And especially when you talk about creating joy in today's world, in real time with real people, that's kind of like what y'all do here at Nerd Night. But these are treasured things, right? Like, we need this. We're hungry for moments of authentic joy with others. I think it's really grounding. One might even consider it an act of defiance. And so I think in school, the idea of working toward moments of joy is really valuable. And again, not something that fits on the STAR test. It's not something that we fund the schools based upon the joyfulness of the children that are going to school. Joy represents so much more, because in order to have the conditions for joy, one must feel like they belong. One must feel like they got a job to do and that they matter. They're important. Their presence is valued. Feel like they're moving in a dynamic way toward a goal. These are all of the conditions for joy. And would be a really great metric for us to try to work on in terms of how we look at schools. So thank you for that comment. As far as new projects, most of it is around partnerships. We're in Uganda because I met the director of that facility, and he blew my mind. And when he told me about the way he organizes his 300 kids that he serves, I knew that our investments there would make a huge impact. And so in all of our partnerships around the country, around the world, that's really what we're looking for. We're looking for those willing partners. We are putting a big investment right at the moment into Spanish language, more Spanish language support. So we're really spending a lot of time here in Texas with Spanish language learning materials, video, and all of the learning systems that we have, and then also working in Mexico and through Central America a little bit. So that's a particular effort that we're trying to deepen our skills in.
Awesome. All right. We have time, I think, for one more question, if there is one. I see. Oh, over at the bar. All right. Let me amble my way over there. Dun, 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 dun. All right.
So, Matt, I know that ACG is a nonprofit organization. Are there any programs that you envision that could actually generate revenue that would help fund things. I mean, so you do wonderful scoring of movies and things like that that might be exciting for a larger population. Anything like that on the horizon?
Yeah, we haven't done a whole lot with like media releases of things that we see as being, you know, things we can monetize in a really meaningful way. I would say that you know, the organization looks at all of these partnerships in a kind of a nuanced manner. Various contracts with states or contracts with big facilities. Dallas County just asked us to do a bunch more stuff in Dallas County, and they're going to pay for a percentage of that. And so it's about sort of looking for where those willing partners are, both in terms of the programming on the ground, and then also in terms of the you know, programs, partners in the funding space as well. And some of those are paying for the products that we create. I should say, though, you've reminded me that we've got a theater here in town, right over in Hyde Park, called the Rosette. So come see a show there sometime. Love to have you there. It's beautiful, and it's in the old Baker building. So we do concerts, but then lots of other people do theater, comedy, concerts, all kinds of stuff at the Rosette. So we'd love to see you there. So and those shows all live stream as well. So those are things that people watch around the world.
Marvelous. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you all.